Good morning. This is Elizabeth Beslow for Abolition News Network. April 9th, 1870. We are meeting again with Anya Heller 5 years after the Civil War to talk about the German Americans who fought for the Union Army. Last time we met with Anya, you were the director of the German Chamber of Commerce in Austin, Texas. Now I understand you are a German historian. How do you do?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Very well. Ms. Heller, can I call you Anya?
Of course.
Okay. Anya, we all want to know about the large participation of the German Americans in the Civil War. At the beginning, how many Germans joined the fight?
Elizabeth, we are proud to announce that whenever Lincoln asked for 75,000 men, Germans, all volunteers, man for man, signed up after the attack on Fort Sumter. Now, we will say that it was the Germans who saved the slave state of Missouri for the Union. The other thing is Franz Sigel, a former superintendent, organized 5 regiments and 11 reserve corps or home guard.
Wow, that is impressive. Now, besides the generals, which I see you have up on the wall, we are interested in how they were against the institution of slavery. Do you have any records on that?
I've been collecting letters from soldiers, German soldiers, who wrote back to their families talking about how much they hated slavery and slaveholders. Can I read you some?
Oh, yes, of course, please.
Karl Mermans. German officers were better commanders. German soldiers fought more courageously. German camps were cleaner and German soldiers were healthier and commanded great respect from the military. The Germans were always the ones who were the most honest and fought the best. The bravest fighter of all is German General Major Sigel. From Laura Kinderbutt. The Germans have won such respect from their enemies that when the cry is heard, "The Germans are coming, Sigel is coming," entire regiments turn and flee without firing a shot. Dear Sister Ida, things are not very pleasant at the moment. The war is raging here in full force, but I hope that we will soon crush those traitors and their fatherland. It's actually quite a strange story. The Germans, almost without exception, support the legitimate government and fight for its honor. The Americans, who are slaveholders, are the enemies of the government. They don't want to set their slaves free, just want to exploit other humans, that is blacks, because they don't regard them as human beings, but as animals. Dear Ludwig, it is a fact most of slaves are treated like beasts, and, if let free, they would just behave like beasts. Since the slaves hardly ever see white men working, they think that freedom is the same thing as idleness, and the time would come when I'd rather be living without Tartars or in Poland than here. Dear Dad, soon the decisive pressure will have been asserted enough to cause a proud and misguided cotton princes and slaveholders to heave a final sigh and nestle at the feet of the conquerors. That is the punishment they deserve, for never have so much blood been shed in this war for such a wretched principle like the one the Southerners have fought for. They, the monsters, are not content to maul the blacks with their whips and sell husbands off from wives and mothers, from their children. They are depraved, defying the most scared goods of humanity. Dearest parents, I would very much like to come to you in a few weeks, but that will have been postponed for a while. Higher duties keep me here at the moment. The freedom of the oppressed and the equality of human rights must first be fought here. To us, the war is of sacred principles, a war that should deal the fatal blow to slavery and bow down the necks of the Southern aristocracy. Dear brother-in-law, there are still over 1 million good-going, able-bodied men in the United States. Every single citizen in America is willing to give his last drop of blood for freedom, death and eternal damnation to the slave traders. I've seen it too often, enough how the poor slaves are sold every way from their wives and children, and beaten and will and whip until their skin hangs and tatters. Dear beloved father and mother, Hecker and Siegel, the famous heroes of Baden, are active in the northern ranks. Siegel, a much feared enemy of the northern general in Missouri, and General Sauerkrans, general in the mountains of West Virginia, and also Germans are their northern generals from whom the Southerners in Richmond have the most respect. Dear parents, as you have probably read in the newspapers, the militia has been called up here, and as a result, I have become a soldier. I am now with the 116 NYC, 4 miles from Baltimore, ready to march to Washington and beyond when the next order comes. The new Buffalo Regiment is under 10 command of the best general in the North, the German General Siegel. Half of the men are Germans, and they are all in the best fighting spirits. Dear Father, last I heard the enemy is retreating everywhere, which has been made difficult by the destruction of the railroads. General Siegel played a decisive part, and he now is in an important new command. He will no doubt add the laurels to his earlier ones. Dear parents, indeed, the enemy has tremendous respect for German soldiers, so that even the farmers come running from the directors to see the Flying Dutchman, as they call the German division.
Wow, well, that answers that question about the German viewpoint on slavery. Now, this General Siegel sounds like quite a hero. What can you tell us about him and the other generals?
Well, if we come over here, I'll show you the picture of him. Now, for Karl Schurz, born in Prussia, became a leader of a student group at the university that encouraged democracy, then joined the Revolutionary Army and escaped to Paris when it was defeated in 1848, bound up in the United States in time to support the Republican Party and Lincoln's election. And this is another photo of him. And after serving a short service at the Minister of Spain, he joined the Union Army and rose to rank of Major General and served from 1862 to 1865 and fought in Gettysburg. And now Karl Schurz is a U.S. Senator from Missouri, 2 years now since elected in 1868.
Wow, so that is very impressive. We don't hear about a lot of the generals who fought, especially to free slaves. Please go on.
This is a photo of Peter Osterhaus. Here's another Prussian general that became very famous with the 12 Missouri volunteers. We have another picture of him right here as well. A little better quality as well. He fought at Wilson's Creek, Missouri, Pea Ridge, Arkansas, Lookout Mountain, Tennessee, and finally with General Sherman and his Atlanta campaign marched to sea.
Wow, what a record. So who else is on there?
We have Alexander Schimmelpfennig. And here's another Prussian general, a Brigadier General Alexander Schimmelpfennig. Lincoln appointed him because he was German and to show the German Americans his appreciation for his election to presidency in 1860. And we have another one right here of him. It's closer. Unfortunately, he will only be remembered for when he was 3rd Division commander at Gettysburg. He got grazed in the head by a bullet on the first day and escaped capture by fleeing the streets and hiding in the head behind a pigsty. He came out on July 4th at the end of the battle. Unfortunately, he died of tuberculosis when Charleston surrendered.
Wow, so it looks like we have our first general to end up in a pigsty. Now, what about General Franz Sigel?
Oh, Franz Sigel. Okay, he was more of a folk hero. He came from Baden, Germany, and was a leader in the failed revolution of 1848. He was forced into exile. When he came to the United States, he taught math, history, and languages at the German American Institute in St. Louis. And another one right here. Another photo of Franz Sigel, but General Sigel's military fame was at the Battle of Pea Ridge, Arkansas, after which he was promoted to Major General.
The rest of his career was undistinguished. We don't know what made him so famous, but maybe it was because he raised 11 German regiments at the beginning of the Civil War, when President Lincoln called for the first volunteers.
Oh, what great spirit those soldiers have.
Yes, we love General Siegel.
This is Elizabeth Beslow for ANN saying good morning.
Boom, chick, boom. I comes just now to tell you how I goes with regimentals to schlag them foes of liberty like them old continentals. But fights with England long ago to save that Yankee Eagle. And now I gets mine soldier clothes and I goes to fight with Siegel.
Ja, das ist true, I speaks with you, I goes to fight with Siegel. Boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, chick, boom.
Then I come from their old country, sometimes I works at baking, then I keeps a lager beer saloon, and then I go shoemaking. But now I was a soldier, been to save that Yankee Eagle, and give them rebel fellers fits, I goes to fight with Siegel.
Ja, das ist true, I speaks with you, I goes to fight with Siegel. Boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, boom, chick, boom, boom.
I gets a damn big rifle gun and I puts him on my shoulder. Then I struts around like a big jack horse or maybe something bolder. I goes off mit der volunteers to save that Yankee Eagle and schlag them damn succession folks. I goes to fight with Siegel.
Ja, das ist true, I speaks with you, I goes to fight with Siegel. Boom, chick, boom, boom, chick, boom, boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, chick, boom.
For rations they give salty pork. I think that was a great sell. I better likes their sauerkraut, their Schwitzer Kaiser bread. So if fighting Joe will give us them, we'll save that Yankee Eagle. And I'll put mine Frau in breecheloons to go and fight with Siegel.
Ja, das ist true, I speaks with you, I goes to fight with Siegel. Boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, chick, boom.
We deutschen men mit Siegels Band and fighting have no rival. Und wenn Chef Davis mens we meet, we schlag them like der Teufel. There's only one thing but I fear when battling for der Eagle. We won't get not no lager beer when we goes to fight mit Siegel.
Ja, das ist true, I speaks with you, I goes to fight mit Siegel.